All right, another disclaimer. These are always fun. Consult your doctor about your health status and any dietary restrictions or requirements. It's your responsibility to understand your individual health status and seek medical professional advice when needed. This is only informative and not medical advice. Glad that's out of the way. Next, let's talk about diet and nutrition. Why does diet and nutrition matter? Mainly because you're growing. And you need to grow, and you need to be big, and you need to be fast, and you need to be strong. That is the foundation and the principle, the tenet, whatever you want to call it, that as a young athlete, you need to understand. The average Division I player in 2022 was 6 feet tall and about 208 pounds. I've met many of you. Many of you are about 6 feet tall and just around 170 pounds. Now, just because you get to the point where you're 6 feet tall and at least 208 pounds, does that mean that all of a sudden you're going to be a big leaguer? No, but you want to look at everything that big leaguers and Division I players do, and you want to match that as much as you possibly can. You want to reverse engineer what it looks like and things that are in your control so that you give yourself an opportunity to be big, to be fast, to be strong. And one way to do that is by putting on as much size as you can. Obviously, you're going to be limited by your genetics when it comes to height to a certain degree, but you can always be stronger. And being stronger is always going to make you more resilient to injury. And it's also going to make you more adaptable, and it's going to make you a better athlete, generally speaking. So how do we get there? Nutrition. Here is your immediate takeaway. Download MyFitnessPal. Pause this right now, whether you're on the podcast, whether you're listening to it on YouTube, wherever you're watching it. Pause this now. Go to the App Store, whether you have an iPhone or an Android. Download the MyFitnessPal app. It is free. You can get the premium version, but you don't need it. Great. Now that you've downloaded it, let's talk about some goals that you want to be able to set. People ask me constantly, how much do we need to get in terms of protein? That's every single day. You should try to get at least 80% of your body weight in protein. In other words, if you weigh 100 pounds, you should do your best to get at least 80 grams of protein, if not 100 grams of protein. That's just for an example for simple math. Protein is vital. It's without sleep and without protein, you will not develop, you will not grow. I promise you that. You need protein. It's a basic structure. It's the basis of growth and the basis to stay healthy. Calories are tricky, and that's because every human body is different. Every child is different. Every athlete is different. Every adult is different. So it's really hard to pin down how much you should be eating exactly. But if we look at PubMed, they tell us that 11 to 12-year-olds should be eating anywhere between 1,800 and 2,200 calories a day. Now, for adult males and adult females, it says that we require anywhere between 2,600 and 2,800 calories per day. 2,600 to 2,800 for males, about 2,000 to 2,200 for females. This is the average adult. Keep in mind, this is not for athletes. So in other words, you probably, as a baseball player, as an athlete, you probably want to be eating at least this many calories per day. And the only way to know how much you're having, how much you're eating, is through apps like MyFitnessPal. You can guess all you want, but you're probably undershooting it. If not, you're overshooting it. And that's not what you want to do. What gets measured gets managed. Again, it's more of the unsexy stuff. It's the stuff that's not fun to do, but you're on your phone anyway. Log into MyFitnessPal, type in what you've eaten, track your calories, track your protein, check with your physician if you have any dietary restrictions or dietary requirements, anything like that. So another topic that's super important, but is often neglected, is hydration. Think about it like this. Not drinking water is like not putting oil in your Ferrari. So driving a car around without oil is the same thing as you walking around without drinking enough water. You can talk to different nephrologists or kidney doctors about this topic for days, but there's no consensus or there's no 100% agreement on how much water a person should be drinking. But if you look at a handful of agencies that are overseas in Europe and here in the United States, they all agree 125 ounces of water for males and around 91 ounces for females before exercise. And I give you ounces because a lot of those water bottles that you get here, at least in the United States, are in ounces. But in other words, this is about 3 to 4 liters total. So if you think of those soda bottles, the 2 liters, you should be drinking at least two 2-liter bottles as a male and 1.5 2-liter bottles as a female. Then 2 hours before exercise or training, you should have about 14 to 20 ounces. And then while you're training, for every 20 minutes, you should have another 8 ounces. This is why getting a reusable water bottle is so important. Again, what gets measured gets managed. If you don't know how much water you're drinking, you can't make adjustments when needed. Don't do the whole thing where you just have it in your head. You're probably making bigger miscalculations than you think that you are. Gatorade and electrolytes and stuff like that, you can reserve that for super long training sessions, 90 minutes or more, or if you're training and playing in the July heat, the August heat. Otherwise, walking around just in school drinking a Gatorade, probably not the best for you, and you probably don't really need it at that point. Here's one tip that I want you to follow. When you're working out, when you're training, when you're playing, whatever, your goal is to not lose more than 2% of your pre-activity weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you shouldn't lose more than 2% of 150 pounds between training sessions. And if you do, it means that you aren't drinking enough water. Weigh yourself before the training or the workout and weigh yourself after. You need to put oil in your car. You need to put oil in your Ferrari. You need to drink water. So example time, you have a 160-pound athlete, 16-year-old, let's call him a baseball player, and he's trying to gain weight and he's training 3 hours per day, which is going to be really hard to put on weight if you're training 3 hours per day. So he's going to try to get 150 grams of protein at least. And he's going to try to get, honestly, I said 2,600 calories. I think this kid should shoot for 3,000 calories at least during the day because he's working out 3 hours a day, and then at least 9 cups of water. Here is something where if you want an edge on the competition, you hate vegetables and you hate fruits, sorry to tell you, there's new research emerging that proves athletes who eat more fruits and vegetables or more micronutrients are better athletes. They have better focus. They're able to, their endurance is better. They're stronger. So eat fruits and vegetables. You need to eat fruits and vegetables. It's the number one way to take advantage of the competition, to get ahead of the competition. It's just the best way that you can get calories in. It's the best way to get some sugar in before you work a long workout. Have some fruit. Fruits and vegetables have an unlimited amount. So understand that nutrition and diet, water, protein, calories, this is your body's fuel. You wouldn't be putting in cheap gas into a Ferrari, right? You want the premium, unleaded gas. Your body is your vehicle to be able to perform. If you're not eating enough, if you're not having enough protein, if you're not drinking enough water, you are underfueling your body. You're selling yourself short. And I'll tell you a story to wrap this up. There was a prospect when I was with the Twins, and he had a hard time feeling hungry in the morning, which a lot of you do have a hard time feeling hungry in the morning. I get it. But we needed this kid to put on weight. He was like 6 feet tall and a string bean, but he threw 95 miles per hour. So one of the ways to protect from injury and just become stronger and a better athlete in general is to put on weight. So they would sit this kid down in the morning. They would give him a mass gainer shake and they would watch him drink it. And then he'd go back up to his room, he'd get ready for the day, and then he'd come down to breakfast and he'd have breakfast. And eventually this kid got into a routine. And over the course of the year, they were able to put at least 8 pounds of muscle on him. So this is exactly how you need to treat your body. If you need to put on weight, you need to put on mass. It's going to make you a better athlete. It's going to help you compete. You just have to start somewhere. If you have a hard time eating in the morning specifically, try something like sweet oatmeal, like a blueberry oatmeal or a banana nut oatmeal, something like that that's super easy that you could even drink. Start that way, especially if you need to work out in the mornings. And that'll start to sort of get you into the routine. And if you start sleeping well, you have good sleep habits. You see how this is all connected? And your part of your routine is waking up in the morning and within 30 minutes having some sort of oatmeal, then that will get you into a good routine and start a good habit for you. Try that. Let me know what you think.